you. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting for September 1st, 2015. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:03. Roll call.
Gordon Clark, present.
Carolyn Smart, present. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to announce that this meeting is being tape recorded. Chairman's additions and deletions, I have none. Was there anything you wanted to add, Andy?
No, nothing.
Town administrators' updates and reports.
Just a couple of things tonight. There was a gas pipeline coalition meeting here yesterday with representatives from about a dozen or 15 communities in Massachusetts, as well as Brookline, New Hampshire, talking about the status of the gas pipeline project and where they are in the permitting process, where we are in the process. There was a series of open houses or scoping sessions that were held by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission over the last month or so. Initially, the comment period, I believe, was supposed to close yesterday. That's been extended into October by FERC. They're going to have some additional scoping sessions in, I think, in western New Hampshire, southwest New Hampshire. So they wanted to keep the comment period open for that. So that sort of pushes things off a little bit, buys us a little bit more time. Representative Harrington was also there and told us that she, along with Representative Brad Jones, are putting together a letter to FERC and the DPU regarding the pipeline project. So good to have Representative Harrington's support for this project as well as Representative Jones. A couple of things I don't know how much we'll talk about it later on. We've got a couple of things on next week's agenda that I just wanted to sort of draw people's attention to. We've got the Fire EMS Building Committee is coming in to provide an update on where they are on the West Station project. I also know, based on conversation that we had, I forget if it was last week or 2 weeks ago now, the neighbors are working to put together a petition to modify the action that was taken back in the spring with respect to both the funding for the project and the approval to take down the Legion building. So they're looking to preserve the building. And we've got the Route 119 sidewalk on. Again, a resident has asked to get on to talk about that and where that project is, and with respect to funding that was approved back in 2006, I think it was.
6, yeah.
And then one thing, just as sort of heads up for a couple of months away from now, but we talked about having the special town meeting on December 8th, which is a little late for us. Usually we do it a few weeks earlier than that. As we get closer and we have a better sense of how things are working at the DOR. DOR has got a lot of Department of Revenue for people at home. Department of Revenue has been hit hard with early retirements as a result of the state program that they ran. So we're a little concerned about how quickly things are going to turn around down there. So what I may be doing as we get closer is asking the board to meet on the Thursday following the town meeting. The town meeting will be tentatively on December 8th. I may ask the board to meet on the 10th to have the tax classification hearing, just to make sure that we give as much time as possible to the DOR to get the rates set so that we can send bills out before the end of the year. So we can't have our classification hearing until we have all of our appropriations for the year. So if we set the rate, we can't do anything with with our tax levy. So it would simply be easier. But I'll keep you in the loop on that as we go forward, as we hear more from DOR and how they're faring with all of their retirements and things. That's all I've got for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Board of Selectmen's updates and reports? Do you have anything?
Just going back to our agenda for the 8th, we had a conversation, the three of us, about just scheduling earlier. And I was wondering, at the 8 o'clock, I'm talking about the 8th here, Andy, if we can move the 8 o'clock, is there any chance like to, like a 5 or 5:30, so we won't have to have everyone out? Just, you can check it out during the week and get back to us, but maybe that would make it more customer-friendly for everyone who comes to the meetings.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
What's the, just so I can coordinate with those other
Thank you,
parties,
Ed.
what's the earliest that the board members would be able to meet?
5 o'clock.
I now devote all day Tuesday to town business. I just have my schedule. So any day, whatever's good for Carolyn, I can be flexible.
5 is fine.
9 a.m.?
Okay. So as long as you have coffee. 5, you said, Carolyn?
Yeah, that's fine.
5, is that all right? And then
Yep.
you'll see what the parties over there. I just think that the conversation we had to make it so we don't have to... People, we're trying to, just so you know here, we're trying to make it so that we can better serve the people who come here, so that the executive sessions might be at the beginning of the meeting or at the end, so we don't have to empty and come back in. Just so, and so we're just trying to, as we're telling our employees we want better customer service, we're trying to follow that suit. Is that correct to say that?
That's fine.
Okay. Let me keep going here, because we have all the stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, I just thought, with the calling leave last week and with a new person coming on soon, that I just want to encapsulate the first 4 months here of the positive, the glass half full things. And there's some people I want to recognize for any success that the board's been able to have. And the first person, since day one, I was fortunate enough to be elected a selectman for this town here that I love. Right over here, if you could just go to Jody, all right? I know she doesn't like this, but I've never seen a person who goes so out of her way to explain. I've had tons of management experience, but I don't have a lot of the intricacies of being a selectman. And she's just gone far and above, and if I do a half-decent job, it's entirely thanks to her efforts, so thank you for that. All right? And then the next thing is, some of you might remember, I went to several months ago to a Department of Revenue all-day class for new officials, and I found out about a service called Community Compact. And on this Thursday, the Lieutenant Governor is going to pay Townsend a visit to sign an agreement with us on community compacts. And I'll just read this quickly. The town of Townsend applied for technical assistance under Governor Baker's newly created Community Compact program. The Community Compact provides technical assistance for up to 3 best practices. Townsend applied for assistance for 2 elements of financial management, long-range planning and forecasting in the budget document, and business continuity in the information technology best practice area. Lieutenant Governor Polito is scheduled to come to Townsend on Thursday, September 6, 2015, to sign the Community Compact. I think that's quite an achievement, and I want to thank Colin and Carolyn for getting on board with that. But the person I actually would like to recognize tonight the most, who took the ball and did all the paid work and got this back, is our town administrator, Andy Sheehan. You know, I always say I want to accommodate excellent work, and this is a ton of free services to our town, and so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then the next, I'm always talking about customer service. People come here, go into our buildings, and Chief Mark Boylton just, I'm going to read it, in an effort to improve customer service. So managers are starting to get into what we're trying to do here. And availability to the citizens of Townsend. A new fire EMS policy went into effect August 24th. The new policy utilizes current personnel to staff the front desk from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Although this will not prevent the occasional instances when all personnel are unavailable due to major or multiple emergencies, it does assign personnel to attend to the needs of the public when available. The change will assure someone is available to answer the phones, field questions from the public at the front desk, and to schedule future appointments during normal business. I want to commend the fire chief for buying into what we're trying to say here, is that we're about customer service, and that the citizens here, we're here to service. So Andy did that, and to the fire chief, they get what we're trying to do here in the board. And so, you know, I'm going to commend excellence, and this is excellence. And then the last thing today, I went over, as I try to visit different areas, and I went over to the senior center, and the benefactor of that building is putting a entirely brand new, gorgeous wood synthetic floor that will stand up to the beatings in this meeting, extensive cost. And our facilities manager was over there working with the vendors to do that. And while I was over there, you know, I noticed that, and people were commenting to me about, boy, the grounds have really stepped up. And I see Rogers here, so I want to recognize him tonight. And I have to overhear a phone call, and they're working on getting the chemicals down to get the stones. So, you know, I have a saying about teamwork makes the dream work, and I want to commend you, Roger, and for Mark for stepping up, and all of us working together. So, are you going to address the chief thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all I have, but to all those people who are just doing wonderful things for our people, thank you. All right?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Andy and Jody. I just had a few short things, and I was hoping to schedule it, although taking a peek at our next few agendas, they look pretty full. But I had a resident, Andy, call me about the municipal aggregation. They had actually explored the Colonial Power Group website and saw that Lunenburg was involved and Ashby was involved. And I haven't really followed that too closely, but I know that you've been working on it. So I wasn't sure where we were in the process.
Yeah, we looked at this a couple of years ago, and we actually have the authorization from town meeting to enter into an aggregation agreement. There was a vote in 2013, maybe, to do that. At the time, it wasn't that advantageous, so we didn't pursue it. The difference between the aggregation price and the Unitil price was really negligible, so there wouldn't have been any savings. The market has changed a little bit. I think I had mentioned aggregation a few meetings ago, maybe a few months ago now. It's something that we'd like to do again. I've been in touch with Colonial. They reached out to us a long time ago, and they check in from time to time. Unfortunately, with all of the other things that we've been dealing with, we haven't been able to get back to that, but I would certainly like to do that. And if we can free up some time, we'll work on that again.
Yeah, I think especially with the pending Unitil hike increases, a lot more people are searching for alternative energy sources, and I see that Ashby just opted in. It appears to be an opt-in, opt-out type situation from what I read.
Right. So when a community enters into an aggregation agreement, anybody can opt in or opt out at any time. There's no contract. You're not tied in for 6 months or a year or 3 years or anything like that. So you can jump in. You can decide you don't like it. You can opt right back out again. So it's essentially a month-to-month opportunity for people.
So it'd be a pretty simple process for us to jump in then, just a comparison of the rates possibly?
Yeah, we'd have to do an RFP to select an aggregation provider, and then essentially they do the work after that.
It seems Colonial seems to have all the surrounding communities.
Yeah, Colonial has, they were one of the first, and they've done a number of them. I think they did City of Marlborough.
Yeah.
I think they did the City of Lowell. They did Lunenburg. I think they did Ashby. They're very well versed in the process and the product, and but there are a couple of others that are out there as well.
Would it be worth our time to maybe schedule them at the end of the month to talk to them? Do they come in and talk to us, or is that just something you can just look into and?
We can issue the RFP just, you know, as soon as we can get some of this sort of mundane day-to-day stuff off our plate, then we can start to get to some of the bigger ticket items that really have great payback for us. So I'd certainly like to do that.
Oh, Lunenburg's just cheap.
Yeah, there's no great secret to the RFP process. It's just It just takes time like everything
It's
else.
just time. Okay. Well, thank you for that, so keep that on the backward. The other thing I did, speaking of recognizing people, you did a great job, but I also wanted to recognize Ed Kukla. We got a memo from Bay State Roads, and he's completed all of his hours, in the training, and he's actually been named the Road Scholar. So it's just nice that he put all that effort into it, and I just wanted to thank him for that. It's always good for continuing education with the training workshops. And then the only other thing that I had, Gordon, as most folks are aware, our police chief has decided to retire, and he'll be retiring on September 15th. So the Selectmen have posted an interim chief's position, and since we're under a short time frame, I wanted to see how my colleague feels about what we should do for the process to get an interim in here. Personally, I was thinking, with your public safety background, in the short time frame, if possibly you could work with our town administrator and bring back a name for appointment, and I wasn't sure what you thought of that.
I'd be honored to do that, and I have been doing a lot of reaching out across the state to my professional peers of 40 years to get this right. This is important to get this right, because the police chief affects every single citizen in this community 24 hours a day. And before I go on, I just want to acknowledge Chief Urban Marshall. It's 38 years. It's unusual to have someone stay here. All the chiefs I know, when it's 32, they're gone. So I like to acknowledge, and he comes from a family of law enforcement. There's a lot of people who are townies here, been around. His father was the chief at one time, and then Bill May. So I want to take a second to recognize that. But I'd be glad to do that, because I've been blessed to have it, and I will do that. If it would be all right with you, Madam Chairman, I've had the opportunity today to overlook 2 people who have applied, and they're incredibly talented, so I'm excited about that. And I was wondering if it would be all right with you if on Tuesday, because I think that'll be within our realm, and we're going to meet that night, if myself with town administrator, if you would like to do it, we conduct interviews that day and come back with a recommendation for the board that night. Would that be okay with you?
That would be great.
Because we are on a tight line, and the reason, just so people know, is because we don't have health insurance for retirees, and there's a very tight market for highly qualified police chiefs nowadays, we have to get into the market ahead of other times. And because I would, along with the chairman, we want to get the best for the people. So that's why we're getting into the market soon. And so do we need a motion to do that or not, or Andy?
I think it's probably a good idea just to lay out the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Selectman, I make a motion that myself, Selectman Gordon Clark, and Town Administrator Andy Sheehan conduct interviews with all applicants for the position of interim chief on the date to be selected by myself and him, probably Tuesday. And that we shall report back to the entire board, which is you and me, which is strange. But and at that point, we'll make a determination, and then we'll move forward.
Second.
Is that clear enough, Andy?
Yep.
Jody might need a minute for that.
Yeah.
We'll piece it together.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So that would be great.
All right.
We are under.
That's good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay. So there are no meeting minutes to approve. So 3.1, discuss reorganization of Board of Selectmen. So, Gordon, I've been thinking, with this transition of the police chief, the chair is traditionally over public safety. And where there's only 2 of us, I was wondering if you would consider taking the chair until the next election on November 17th to help facilitate that transition over there with public safety. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that I wasn't thinking about being the chair for short term till like 2.5 years from now. But it shows to me that you have a great love for the town of Townsend, and that most people look forward to, after years of service, to the opportunity to be recognized to be the chairperson. And the fact that for the good of the town, for a short period of time, so we can get this important work done, you're willing to let me assume that position. I'm appreciative for myself, but more important for the townspeople, because not everybody would give up that position. So I would do that, and but I will tell you, there's going to be points where, not in the public safety things, but that I need guidance from you and Andy. And
Absolutely.
because it takes years to get that knowledge. And but I would public safety, that's my thing, and I'd be on it. So how do we proceed with that?
Well, and to go to that point, there's only two of us. We have to split up all the areas of town, and that is definitely your specialty. You have the most experience in it, and the chair traditionally handles that. So it's a relatively short amount of time. I'm happy that you're willing to do that.
Well, thank you for the honor.
I did look over the, I can make a motion, actually, since it's for you. So I'd like to make a motion that we name Gordon Smart as chairman of the board.
Gordon Clark.
Gordon Clark as
Patty
chairman
would
of the
like
board.
that.
Yep.
Freud would have something to say about that, too.
Wow.
Yes.
As chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Second, with honor. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But now we're going to...
Go over the areas of
good.
responsibility.
Did Ann give you a blank one there?
I did have a blank
All right.
one, and
I just thought if the three of us worked together here so we could go through this quick, and I saw you made some notes, and I made some notes. If I could just go through mine,
Okay.
and then will you agree, we'll do it. And then
All right.
Andy, you can keep track once we say it, that's okay? If it's all right with you, I'm going to start with general government.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in general government, I thought if you could take everything but the counseling on aging and the recreation, and I'm being selfish with the recreation, they've become my pet, the kids are my pet project. Well, I'm being honest with you, and they have a home now, and we got a long ways to go, but boy, I'm feeling good. It just energizes me that we're doing something for the kids. So if you wouldn't mind that I would keep the counseling on aging
All right, so-
and recreation. Again, I'll do anything that you or Andy thinks best, but
So general government will be all mine except those two.
if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Totally,
We
this
gotta
is give and
split it
take,
up.
and we'll be glad when we have someone we can work with down the road.
Mhm.
And then public safety, I would take everything but animal control maybe, and
Well, that falls under police.
All right, so you
might
wanna take everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, inspector of animals, it's not under police, so if you don't want to take that, that's not a big...
I'll just take the whole public safety thing, okay?
Okay.
Because you basically took the whole top.
Do you want me to take the inspectional services from that?
How about for this week, we start with this, and then,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying, we can modify it? Is that
Yep,
okay with you?
that's absolutely fine.
All right. And then in Public Works, I thought because of your experience, and we're going to have to eventually work on, because we're a one-year contract with the trash pickup, that you would take solid waste,
That's fine with me.
the Water Department, the Board of Health, and the Board of Water Commissioners, and I would take the Highway. Again, this can all subject, cemeteries, parks, facility maintenance, meaning Mark Mercurio in the hall, and then cemetery and parks. Did I say that?
Yeah, so you're going to take cemetery,
All right.
so you're going to take cemetery and highway.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no,
I'm told-
this is fine.
All right.
And I'll take Board of Health, facilities maintenance, so that's fine.
And we can, again, this is two people doing, it's busy when you have three people, and not the wine, but the truth is, so we can modify this as we need to go.
Well,
okay?
November 17th, when
But
we meet and we have a third selectman, it'll be done again.
Exactly, but as we go forward in the chief search, it's important that's done correctly. So, thank you very much. Is that all right with you, Anthony?
Just so I'm clear,
Yep.
so Gordy, you're going to take highway, cemetery, and facilities?
Yes.
Yes.
And Carolyn will take solid waste, water, Board of Health, and Board of Water Commissioners?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and again, we'll adapt as we have to get the job done.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, you're up.
I was hoping to be at the end of the meeting.
Can always adjourn.
Okay, we are at 3.2. Review draft response to open meeting law complaint against the Board of Selectmen. Votes may be taken. Andy?
So this is in response to the open meeting law complaint that we received a couple of weeks ago. The board talked about it briefly last week and asked me to prepare a response. I did reach out to town council on the issue. He provided sort of a rough framework for a response, which I used in drafting the letter that you have in front of you tonight that was in your packets. I know that Carolyn had a couple of things that she wanted changed, and council has said that he'll put something together for that, so I don't know how you want to approach it.
Yeah, there were a few issues that we had gone over that, I spoke to Andy, and they were kind of difficult to word, so we thought maybe council could review the wording. So my thought, Gordon, is if it was all right, since you're the chair, you'd be the signatory on it. If we make a motion to approve pending council's changes and to sign outside of a meeting, there's a time frame on that, right, Andy?
Yes.
So, when Mr. Riley got finished reviewing and possibly changing the wording, he could come back for you to sign.
I'm good with that.
You good with that?
Andy, you good with that?
Yeah, so we have another week to wrap it up, but I think with the holiday, with the long weekend coming up, this is probably the best way to approach it. I would guess that Brian will get back to us in the next day or two.
Yeah.
We can wrap it up. At worst, we put it in the mail on Tuesday.
Okay.
On the dates,
Sounds
too.
good to me. So, Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve the response to the open meeting law complaint pending review and changes by town council, and to sign the letter outside of a meeting.
Second. Motion's been made and moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3.3. You got all that in?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go a little slow, just so I... 3.3, review and approve request of the Recreation Commissioner, Alice Kennedy. I don't see her here. Do we have the paperwork to do that?
Yeah, she just, there's a letter in your packet requesting that the board declare the handicap ramp at the annex as surplus. And so it's just a perfunctory vote to, once it's removed, that we declare it as surplus.
So I'll just finish.
We can reuse it.
Okay. So I'm going to 3.3, review and approve the request of the Recreation Commissioner, Chairman Alice Kennedy, to declare surplus the ramp to the town annex at 274 Main Street. Votes may be taken.
So just for clarification, Andy, that would be of no value, and then what happens after that would be to determine.
Right. And we're not sure if it can be salvaged or how much of it can be salvaged. Mark was looking at it recently. The way that it's constructed, it's not really put down in segments that you can just unbolt and pick up 8-foot sections and bring somewhere else. So he's not sure how much of it we can salvage, but if we can salvage it without ruining it and repurpose it for some other use, then we'll certainly do so.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'd
Karen,
like
can I just tell you,
Oh, sure.
keep you in the loop on this? We've had a tremendous amount of people over there. Andy was there, and we're going to disassemble it so we can start the construction ramp. And until we determine, we're just going to put it safely over against the back of the Hart Library. So, and that's where then we'll determine from there. I just want to make sure you know the process.
Okay, sounds good. I had spoke with Alice, and she kind of...
All right, they're doing a wonderful job.
Yes, they are. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we declare the wood handicap ramp and the annex building as surplus without value. With
Second.
no value, I'm sorry.
Second. The motion's been moved as second. Do I have votes in the positive?
All those in favor?
All those in favor, aye. Thank you, sorry. 3.4, review and approve Chapter 90 final report and reimbursement request in the amount of $29,900 for the pavement management program. Votes may be taken.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 final report and reimbursement request in the amount of $29,900 for the pavement management program.
Second. Motion's been moved to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Two sheets to sign.
Right here?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to, thank you. Right here?
Nope, you don't. Right there.
Thank you.
Actually, Carolyn has to sign them too.
Thank you, Carol. 3.5, review and approve Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $32,000 to mill and resurface 1,600 feet of Depot Street from the intersection of Elm Street to Main Street.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $32,000 to mill and resurface 1,600 feet of Depot Street from the intersection of Elm to Main Street.
Second. Motion's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Again.
Do you want to do them at the end? Is it easy to sign them outside?
I'll do whatever you do.
Okay.
Thank you very much. 3.6, review and approve Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $69,000 to mill and resurface 1,600 feet of Elm Street from the intersection of Main Street.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $69,000 to mill and resurface 1,600 feet of Elm Street from the intersection of Main Street.
Seconded. Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
3.7, review and approve Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $20,000 to crack seal 13,900 linear feet of roads on Regan Road, Laurie Drive, Robin Drive, Granite Road, Dick Street, Meadow Road, Horseshoe Drive, and Shirley Road.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $20,000 to crack seal 13,900 linear feet of roads on Reagan Road, Laurie Drive, Robin Drive, Granite Road, Dick Street, Meadow Road, Horseshoe Drive, and Shirley Road.
Second. Motion's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
3.8, review and approve Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $57,263 to reclaim and resurface 1,320 feet of Barker Hill Road from Turnpike Road to Dudley Road.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $57,263 to reclaim and resurface 1,320 feet of Barker Hill Road from Turnpike Road to Dudley Road.
Second. A motion's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
3.9, review and approve Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $30,653 to reclaim and resurface 800 feet of Linden Street.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 project request in the amount of $30,653 to reclaim and resurface 800 feet of Linden Street.
Second. A motion's been moved to second. All in favor?
Aye. And just so folks know, we did discuss this a few meetings back, all the projects that he'd be requesting money
Thank you
for.
for that, Carol. 3.10, review and approve applications of Unitil to cross, alter, or construct within a townway to install a gas service at 18 Warren Road.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application for Unitil to cross, alter, or construct within a townway to install a gas service at 18 Warren Road.
Second. Motion's been moved to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just catch up here for a second. Review and approve application of Unitil to cross, alter, or construct within a townway to install a gas service at 13 Elm.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application of Unitil to cross, alter, or construct within a townway to install a gas service at 13 Elm.
Second. A motion's been moved in second. All in favor?
Is that for our fire station, 13 Elm? I think it is.
Yes.
The new fire station's getting gas service. Well, and it's really moving fast.
It looks great. It looks great. We're so lucky to have
We
it.
tried before as part of one of Unitil's energy efficiency programs, but there's a big cement pad in the front of that building, and they weren't going to excavate it to get in there. So
God
it says
only
the
knows what was
benefit.
in there.
Yeah, this has an added benefit for us.
I heard there was really a lot of energy efficient projects going in there. One of them, they're using styrofoam, is that right?
They used a styrofoam foundation system.
Yeah, that
So you
seems
put up
to-
styrofoam forms, you fill it in with concrete, so it It acts as a form, it stays in place after it's constructed, very energy efficient.
Radon heat too, so the floors will be...
Radiant heat in the floor, yeah.
It's awesome. I actually took a tour with the fire chief, and it's just amazing that we've been given this gift and now with the highest quality, so it's just amazing.
Yeah.
We go to the Farmers Exchange at least once a week, and it's so exciting seeing all their exchanges over
Good
there.
stuff.
It is, it is.
All right, I'm on a roll here, so let's see. 3.12, review, I took your thing here.
I was gonna say.
Because I couldn't find mine. Review and approve application of Unitil to cross, alter, or construct within a townway to install a gas service at 6 School Street.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application of Unitil to cross, alter, or construct within a townway to install a gas service at 6 School Street.
Second motion's been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye. So you can keep it. That's okay.
3.13, review and discuss Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator goals. Andy?
Yeah, we've been kind of kicking this can down the road as it tends to be towards the end of the agenda, and we tend to be fairly burned out by the time we get to it. And as important as I think it is to talk about our goals so that we have a clear direction for where we're going, I think with some of the other things that are happening, transitions, police chief, etc., and especially with the board being down a member, I would recommend that the board consider putting this off until sometime maybe in October or maybe even after the election to give yourselves an opportunity to focus on some of the more pressing issues at hand. And in the meantime, we've made a lot of good progress on a lot of these things. Some of them will, obviously, a lot of these we're gonna continue to work on them. Some of them will be taken up by the community compact work that's going to be happening, things like IT and some of the budget elements. So we'll continue to work at these things, and some of the ones that need more direct attention or personal attention from the board, I could certainly bring back to you on an as-needed basis. But I really think with what we've got going on in front of us, we might be better off putting it off for a little while.
Carol?
All right, great. Andy's got his hands full, at least in September, but my thoughts were maybe in October. There's a lot of things on here, Gordon, that are policy-driven.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could schedule work sessions in October and November, at least dedicate an hour or two a month into trying to accomplish some of those policies. One of them was the complaint policy. I think that's rather important that we have something like that in place.
I hear you both, and I like to throw something out there. Could we, until we get a full board and we get ahead of, is that we could just pick 2 things to take off the list a month until we get to, that we have a full team?
I'm not even suggesting we do that while there's the 2 of us after the election. He has a lot going. He's got to come up with a budget timeline. But I thought, on off weeks, if we had a work session and we could kind of do some of these policies and assist our office, bring some ideas and maybe some draft language for policy.
What do you think about that, Andy?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. If for Carolyn and for Andy, I like to make our goal this month to the police chief. And the other thing is because it's time sensitive and we have someone coming in to speak with us, and because winter's coming, is that we have a serious discussion about the salt. Okay? And I think that our plate can't handle any more than that. So is that okay with you and Andy?
That's absolutely fine with me.
So we'll just stay on those, and when those are done, we won't have trouble finding work for Andy, all right? All right? Good?
Yeah, we got a lot coming up on the next 2 agendas.
Well, that's good. Good teamwork there. Okay, so we are now into appointments of personnel and officials. 4.1, discuss, oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead, ma'am.
No, go ahead and read it, because that's the one I want to speak to.
Oh, all right, okay. If I could just, as chairman, if it's all right with Carolyn and Andy, from here point, because I don't know every single person, and neither do the people watching, so could we just make a practice that we say who we are, just so that I know, and the board knows, not just for you, but going forward as the chairman. I would just like if people say who they are when we recognize them, if you don't mind, that's all. So I am appointments of personnel officials. 4.1, discuss the recommendation of the Conservation Commission to appoint Mike Turgeon to the Conservation Commission and to ratify the appointment made on August 11, 2015. I'll be right to you in a second. Andy, could you start this with us?
Sure. This relates back to the open meeting law complaint under item 3.2. One of the recommendations that council made was, and one of the parts of the response to the Attorney General was that the board would put the appointment to the Conservation Commission on the agenda again for consideration, and that the board would consider the appointment of Mike Turgeon, and basically give the public the opportunity to be notified of the pending appointment and provide any comment that they wanted to provide.
Okay, Carolyn?
Yes, this is just what we had talked about last week. There was an open meeting law complaint. Mike Turgeon was appointed on August 11th. He's been sworn in. But because it was added under chairman's additions and deletions, we thought it would be fair to put it back on for a confirmation vote to alleviate any concerns that the complainant had.
Okay, I'm going to recognize you 1 second. I'm just going to go a little over. The chairman of the Recreation Commission is here. Your motion to surplus the ramp has already been approved, so if you would like to leave.
I saw it on TV, that's why I'm here.
Oh, okay. So can we take you up after this here? Okay, thank you. Can I recognize the lady in the back, please? Thank you for
Sure,
waiting.
and I fully intended to identify myself.
No,
It's time for me to speak.
Thank
My
you.
name's Laura Dole, and I
Welcome.
live at 66 Meadow Road. I've been there for over 30 years. I watched the video Sunday night of the Board of Selectmen meeting last week, so I've kind of done my homework, and I have some minutes of some Conservation Commission meetings. The first thing I'd like to say is last week, Ms. Smart, you said that he was already on the Conservation Commission because the Conservation Commission had voted him in, but they're not the appointing authority. According to Chapter 8, the Board of Selectmen are the appointing authority, so I'm sure you just misspoke.
Can I give Carolyn a chance to respond to that, please?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, what the Conservation Commission does is recommend to the selectmen who they'd like to appoint.
Right.
So the Conservation Commission took a vote, I believe it was July 23rd, to recommend Mr. Turgeon to the Board of Selectmen for appointment.
Right, but it was conditional. Could I quote the minutes from that meeting, the Conservation Commission meeting?
It's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Because they were conditional.
Okay.
I think I need to read this. Heather
Okay.
Hampson motioned to recommend Michael Turgeon's appointment to the Conservation Commission to the Board of Selectmen pending a decision from the Attorney General that there would be no conflict.
1 minute, please, point of order. Have those minutes been accepted by the...
They are in draft
Let
form.
me just ask a question, please. I'm asking people from the chairman of the Conservation at this point.
They're in draft form, they haven't been accepted.
So they haven't been approved?
No, sir.
So it would not be fair for us to accept that until we have the approved minutes from the board. Okay, because I was actually there at that meeting and I heard something different, but the thing that matters is the minutes that are approved by the board. So I would not be at this time apt to take that into consideration. Do you have any other information, though, you'd like to hear about?
Yeah, well, so help me understand the process. You're appointing him without these minutes being brought to final form and with disagreement about what's in them, because I have spoken to a couple of members of the Conservation Commission, and
1 minute, please.
they maintain it's the Attorney General.
Okay, 1 minute here. Are those members here tonight?
Could not be here.
Okay, so again, I can't take testimony of it's not written or that they're here to state that.
Okay. So last week you said that it wasn't the Attorney General. This was at the meeting that I watched.
Who are you speaking to?
Ms. Smart, you said that the opinion had been given by the Board of Ethics to Mr. Turgeon, and he had shared it with the chair, but that he had asked that it not be shared with anyone else. And I'm questioning whether that's a violation of the public's right to view records.
Well, no. The Ethics Commission deals with people exclusively as confidential. It's up to Mr. Turgeon if he wants to share any type of response that he received from Ethics. From what I understood, and I could be wrong because I spoke with the chairman of the Conservation Commission, and he can confirm it, that it was a vote to have Mike check with Ethics to be sure there was no conflict. We've never required that of any other candidate before. So the fact that Mike went and did that on his own and shared that really has nothing to do with the Selectmen. That was something that the Conservation Commission asked him to do.
Right.
We're just appointing him. If Mr. Turgeon ever had a conflict in the future, you know, that would be up to Ethics. It would be between Ethics and Mr. Turgeon, not the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. And with all due respect to people who serve the town, and I am very grateful to everyone who serves the town and volunteers to do so, I am concerned about the issue of involvement with a person who is bringing a court suit against the town.
I think that that's out of the bounds of what's allowed, because we can't get into accusations of people. At this point, unless you have anything else, I think we need to move on. We just can't get into personal attacks. And Karen, do you have something to say?
I would like to clarify that because this continuously comes up, and I don't think it's fair to Mr. Turgeon.
Just get Carol's...
Mr. Turgeon, from what I understand, is a wetland scientist, and he did do some work for an applicant here in town. This is directly from our town council. It said, I'm aware of Karen Hill's pending litigation with Conservation Commission, which is appealing a denial of her application regarding a parcel of real estate. This was filed in Superior Court 2012. It is my understanding that her attorney has been representing to the attorney in my office handling the case. Ms. Hill intends to submit a new plan rather than proceed with the court action, but nothing has been filed in well over a year, so the case is inactive. This is merely an appeal of the Concon decision, and there's no damages at stake. So this is what people do if they receive a decision from Zoning Board of Conservation that they don't agree with. They have an appeal process before land court. To continuously say he's bringing suit against the town, Mr. Turgeon is not bringing suit against the town.
No, it's Ms. Hill who brought suit against the town.
And the case is inactive. So it's, you know, troubling how people are constantly trying to tie that together, and I don't think it's very fair.
Okay.
My opinion.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments. It's appreciated. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to appoint Mike Turgeon to confirm the appointment of Michael Turgeon to the Conservation Commission with a term effective August 11, 2015 to June 30th, 2016. Was it a one-year term? I forgot what the last vote was, Andy. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It was 16? Okay.
Yeah.
To June 30th, 2016.
Second, motion's been moved in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Is that it?
Yes. Last one. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Can I hold up 1 second? I believe the recreation... Could you come up and join us here, please?
Remember my request, but it was only a partial.
Okay.
The rest of my request was to declare it surplus, but also to allow us to repurpose it now. We have somebody that's going to take it, that has come and looked at it. They're willing to use it. They're willing to take it.
All right, I'm just going to refer to my two colleagues here. Andy, can you give me some guidance on this, how we should proceed?
Yeah, I think the prior vote is probably sufficient. We didn't promise it to any particular individual or give any specificity with what would happen to it. If the board wants to have a supplementary vote to allow the Recreation Commission to dispose of it to a willing taker or user, that I think that would be fine.
Thank you, Andy. Alice, if you could tell Carolyn, how you would like that, so we can get a motion on this here? The name of the person?
Well, I don't know if we can do that.
Okay, why don't you take...
It's consistent with our policy, Andy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when the selectmen declare it surplus with no value, and then the chief procurement officer would be involved. But we could certainly make a motion. This is an Eagle Scout project that wants to repurpose the wood, and I think that's a wonderful... But I don't know if we have the authority to say how it's going to be repurposed. I could certainly make a motion saying the Board of Selectmen would like to see the wood repurposed for, how would you like that? What would be easiest?
I think you could make a motion to authorize me as the chief procurement officer to dispose of the wood in the manner that is most advantageous to the residents of Townsend.
Will that work?
Thank you, Tim.
So does that mean that I can call the scouts tonight and say,
Well, we got to make the motion first.
after you make the motion and vote?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming back, Karen.
Okay. So I'd make a motion that we allow the Chief Procurement Officer, Andy Sheehan, to work with Recreation to dispose of the ramp in the most advantageous way to the people of Townsend.
Second, motion's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for everything you do for our children. Very much.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks for all your hard work over the annex building. It's really coming along.
It's going to be an asset to the town when it's done.
It will,
Thank you.
it will.
Okay.
So the last, I'd like to make a motion that we review and approve the bills payable and payroll warrant out of session.
Second, motion's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Lady, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to adjourn the September 1st Selectmen's meeting at 6:55.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Fastest meeting.